So again, Adam Malamed, the CEO of Sanctuary Wealth. What I don't think what I said last time I was on your podcast, Robert, is that I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
We
So
never could tell.
the accent, I'm trying not for the accent to give it away, but a born hard Brooklyn boy. And I now live in Miami, Florida. I've been here since 2006. I've been in the wealth management space, broadly defined, for about 30 years. Spent most of my career in the independent wealth management space. So, as I said, I think on the previous podcast, I've been in the independent space before it's been cool to be independent. And one thing I think is so important and impactful about the independent space is it allows, sophisticated, financial advisors like yourself, Robert, to be able to, put your client first and just look at a host of products, services that are, that you are not constrained by. And it's one of the beauties about the independent space is I think you get to be, a fiduciary at the highest level of fiduciary status that you could be anywhere else. So again, I've been in the business for 30 years, ran both public and private companies. And 2 years ago, I had I was blessed to be given the opportunity to lead the charge at Sanctuary Wealth. Sanctuary Wealth is a partner of yours, Robert. We're your partner that provides you from an institutionalized perspective, everything that you need to do to put your clients in the best position of success, whether it's from finance, accounting, regulatory aspects of the business, compliance, human resources, operations, access to technology, product due diligence. We basically do it all. Professional services firm that wakes up every day to support you, your business, and your clients.
Yeah, and it affords us the opportunity to focus on clients. But hey, you said you've been doing this for 30 years. That's clean living to be able to look as good as you do for doing this for 30 years. You're probably only like 48 or something. So, man, 52. A lot has changed. A lot's changed over those 30 years. Let's talk a little bit about what the future looks like from a client's perspective. And last time you said there are really three things as we're moving forward, and I want to dig in a little bit deeper inside of those. You said one of them was financial advisors' use to help clients with regard to AI. The other was alternative investments. And the third was the democratization. I know I got them all out of order. The democratization of the family office. Let's just spend a few minutes and kind of dig through those as we are looking forward over the next 5 years. How's that going to develop and what should clients be thinking about? Let's start with the use of AI, artificial intelligence.
And artificial intelligence, it's a hot word right now. It's a buzzword. Artificial intelligence has been around for a really long time, but we're starting to see the proof points of how they can be used, in businesses, in households and education throughout the world. And
Right.
we're seeing it more in wealth management than many other industries that are out there. A lot of it has to do with, obviously I would bifurcate the use of artificial intelligence to, a couple of different things. Number one would be, how do we make our businesses more efficient? How do we make our interactions with our clients more efficient? And I'll give you an example of that. We just launched at Sanctuary an AI note-taking tool where, during client meetings, you, Robert, this, you're able to use an AI note-taking tool to help you take notes as you're taking notes throughout a client meeting, which we all know is so important, but it's also very important for you to be engaged in the dialogue with your clients.
Right.
And then synthesize all those notes into specific takeaways and have them, talk to your CRM or your planning tools and software, or talk to your other employees at Concenture. AI tools are out there are allowing that to happen within minutes. Work that historically used to take hours. So we're seeing advancements in AI that expand all over our businesses to the way that we process business in a more efficient manner. So I think that as it relates to your clients, or your future clients, your future clients will see just a better client experience. Just because AI is providing that functionality to firms like Concenture and firms like Sanctuary. So again, this is pretty new in the industry as it relates to AI tools. We're seeing the evolution of these tools happen at a rapid pace. And I think that's what's cool is Sanctuary and Concenture have really been first adopters of many different tools that are out there, which will benefit your clients from an efficiency perspective. I think happening right now.
It is, and what's really amazing is that I think that as it goes forward, as we move forward with regard to client relationships, clients are going to demand personalized touches. AI is not going to necessarily take that away, right? It's going to make so that it's more efficient. And as Marianne said on one of our past podcasts, is that we haven't even started to see the productivity enhancements. It keeps things from falling through the cracks. Let's talk. Go ahead.
Listen, I think it ties into your next question, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Productivity advancements. How do we become more efficient in serving our clients in what we understand? You asked me what's the future. Hopefully it's your second question here, the democratization of the family office.
Right. Yep. That's exactly where I was going.
Hopefully that would be your question.
Well, you didn't have to lead it. We were good to go. That's exactly where I was going.
So just think about this, for example, and I mentioned this on your last podcast, is that more is being demanded by our clients,
right,
by your clients, by ultra high net worth, mass affluent clients, more as it relates to more products, more services, more solutions, and differing experiences. And there's a lot to that. And so how do you, first of all, what are some of these services? I'll get to that. But it goes back to the advancements in artificial intelligence, is in order to provide more for our clients, companies like Concenture, companies like Sanctuary, we have got to become more efficient. So that's why the AI tools, just to go back to the AI, to put a button on it, it's why it's so important to ensure that as our clients need more sophisticated services and solutions that somebody like yourself can provide, that your business is more efficient so you can provide it.
That's
so
right.
That just ties out the AI. The democratization of the family office, I mean, we're seeing this major shift in our industry over the past 20 years where, I mean, you remember, Robert, 20 years ago, most of the conversations with your clients were, about some stocks and bonds and, some mutual funds. And this is the performance that we're doing. But you've seen a complete evolution of the services that you provide your clients over the past 20 years. And if I look out over the next 5 to 10 years, that's something that is going to continue to happen. Assets are going to continue to grow in the United States. Assets will grow significantly. Demographic trends will support that. Macro trends will support that. And as clients, specifically mass affluent and high net worth clients, as they have bigger asset bases, they have bigger nest eggs, it becomes a little bit more complex. And with complexity, they obviously need somebody like yourself. But with complexity, they need more services. They need access to this evolution of products that are happening out there. They need access to different solutions. And, this democratization of the family office, these services that were historically only provided to really ultra high net worth investors, institutions we're now seeing those services being demanded, required by clients. So as clients evolve and look out over the next 5 or 10 years, they should really, as I know you're preparing for it now, they should really be demanding more of their financial advisor from a holistic life perspective. And I know that's something that you're really in front of. It's something you're passionate about. And I can tell you it's where the industry is currently moving at a rapid pace.
I think that you're exactly right. When you go and you look with this democratization of the family office, and that means going through to be able to help people in a lot of facets other than just a transaction. Those relationships that started 20 years ago, in a lot of cases, it was transactional relationships. You think about a lot of people's relationship with their CPA or with their estate planning attorney. The CPA is, we'll call it from February till April, May timeframe, that's the only time that they hear or talk or interact with the CPA in a lot of instances. The estate planning attorney, it's at the time that will's developed. There's not really this relationship and what's changed. Is there anything we need to be aware of kind of thing? And I think that clients demand and want a financial quarterback, lack of a better term, to come in and understand and know all those bits and pieces and be able to pull it all together and develop the right game plan. That, by the way, is always changing, right?
Financial quarterback, holistic life quarterback. Because it's complex and it's deep and it starts with finances, but it goes way beyond that.
So now let's talk about the alternative investments, because that's probably an area that we probably need to dedicate a whole nother podcast. And I'm going to call on some of Sanctuary's best resources to help kind of flesh those out. But when you go, and especially as your role as CEO of Sanctuary Wealth, but also as your role in the board member of FSI, Financial Services Institute, what are you seeing around AI? Not AI, alternative investments. What exactly does
AI? But it's alternative investments. Yeah.
And what are you seeing that as we're looking forward from a client standpoint, the things they need to be looking at? What's there?
I gotta tell you, Robert, it's something that I'm a big believer in alternative investments being utilized in clients' portfolios, and it's something I'm really proud of to see how the industry has evolved as it relates to the access to alternative investments for all investors. You go back historically, 25 years ago,
right.
Alternative investments, broadly defined, were really only available to institutions and qualified purchasers. And through what's called the democratization of alternative investments, you now see these products more readily accessible to your everyday investors, whether they're private type of investments or even interval type of investments, interval funds, which I know you also implement into portfolios. And the question is, why are we seeing a significant increase, and why do I continue to believe that over the next 5 or 10 years you're going to have a big increase in this? A lot of this has to do with having non-correlated assets into a portfolio. Think about how many more private companies exist today in the United States than public companies. More private companies dwarf the number of public companies. And some of these companies are incredible. So to be able, from a returns perspective, to be able to get access to them, really, we have to rely upon alternative asset managers, alternative sponsors to do so. And it's really interesting to see the quality of alternative managers that have focused on the wealth management landscape and the evolution of that over the past, call it 10 years, where 10 years ago, individual investors didn't have access to companies like Blackstone, Apollo, Ares, Franklin Templeton, Kennedy Lewis. There are some esoteric products that are out there that are the highest grade quality institutional type of managers that now retail investors that you service, Robert, that they now have access to. I would even say, think about the evolution and what will happen, I don't know, over the next 10 years with digital assets and the evolution of digital assets. And I know that, that will ebb and flow over time, but I would classify that in access to alternative investments. So why is this so important? Let's just think for a minute historically, and I think I mentioned this on your last podcast, but about historic returns of retail investors to institutional investors. So the 60-40 model over a 10-year time frame historically probably gave returns of 4 to 6% type of annualized returns. If you look at institutional returns over a 10-year time frame, and I can tell you, Robert, institutions they don't invest in the 60-40 model. They're heavily weighted to alternatives. Their investment returns are somewhere between 8 to 11%. So just from a return perspective, you're starting to see, okay, these non-correlated assets, they make a lot of sense from a return perspective of portfolio. The problem is historically retail investors And financial advisors like yourself just never had access to that kind of product for their clients. And you're seeing this proliferation of all these institutionalized money managers come into the space and want to tap into this network of mass affluent and high net worth clients, creating high quality product for them that over time will generate more substantial returns. So I think when you look out 5 or 10 years, Robert, I think you're going to see, and one other data point, if you look at alternative exposure in most mass affluent and high net worth portfolios today, it's somewhere between, call it 1 to 4%. It's a small percentage of those portfolios. But when you go to ultra high net worth investors, almost 50% of their portfolios are in alternatives.
Really?
So I think that over the next 10 years, you're going to see a much larger allocation to these high quality alternative products for retail investors. So again, I think it's this democratization of the family office, Robert. In order to provide that to the client, to our clients, we're going to have to become more efficient and rely on artificial intelligence and tools that allow us to be more efficient. And obviously, as products continue to evolve throughout our industry, having a sophisticated advisor like yourself that has a knowledge base and also has access to the products are going to be crucial for investors over the next 5 to 10 years.
You know, it's interesting. You look back, and as you were kind of talking, I was just kind of thinking through back at the first part of this century, which, the early 2000s, there was a big effort to what I would deem put square pegs in round holes, where people would go and dabble in some of these different types of things, but they really weren't, it wasn't enough to truly go to make an impact. And that 1 to 4% is not really going to make a big impact inside of the portfolio. And I'm not certain that clients necessarily understood them. I think two things have happened with alternative investments, how they come. Number one, every single day you hear about 2 or 3, depending on where you are, every single day. One of them is crypto, the other is oil, and then the other is gold, right? Down here in Texas, we hear about gold all the time. Oil all the time. So you hear about those. Now the methods to be able to invest in them where it's appropriate for clients has become a lot better. It used to be that you couldn't necessarily do them inside of retirement accounts. Now you can. Liquidity was an issue. Things have developed. And I think it's something that clients, you're exactly right, they are demanding it. Clients are always asking us, what about Bitcoin? Should I have it or not? And what's interesting is the ways to do it, the ways to get access to these is becoming increasingly important. As you look forward to the future, just kind of one last thing, is there anything else that clients should be thinking about or expecting from their advisors as we move forward?
Yeah, I mentioned it before, so I don't want to be, so repetitive, but, it's, 4 things. It's access to more and differentiated products. Clients should be demanding more services. They should be demanding a one-size-fits-one approach for advisors to find solutions to their needs. And they should be demanding differentiated experiences from their financial advisor, whether it's the experience of how they interact, of how they consume information, how they interact with their family members and the next generation. Those are all demands that our clients should expect. And again, Robert, it's partners like yourself that are sophisticated enough to answer that call that will be the most successful in the future.
That's awesome. I love it. One size fits one. I love that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to copyright it so that I can blast that all over. That's absolutely awesome. Adam, I can't say thank you enough. Love to have you on another time when we can go through and talk a little bit more kind of about this from a client's perspective, but absolutely appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. I know it was valuable.
Well, Robert, I appreciate you having me. I appreciate the work that you do on behalf of your clients, and I appreciate your partnership.
Well, awesome. And to everyone, thank you for joining us this week on Wealth Strategies Unleashed, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
The information contained herein is intended to be used for educational purposes only and is not exhaustive. Diversification and/or any strategy that may be discussed does not guarantee against investable losses, but are intended to help manage risk and return. If applicable, historical discussions and/or opinions are not predictive of future events. The content is presented in good faith and has been drawn from sources believable to be reliable. The content is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Please consult a legal, tax, or financial professional for information specific to your individual situation.
This work is powered by Concenture Wealth Management, registered representative of Sanctuary Securities Inc., an investment advisor of Sanctuary Advisors LLC. Securities offered through Sanctuary Securities Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Advisor services offered through Sanctuary Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Concenture Wealth Management is a DBA of Sanctuary Securities Inc. and Sanctuary Advisors LLC.